That windmill's I'm gonna move. It's just a small practice one, but I'm gonna move it up to the top of the hill. And there's my team, my passel, my what's the other word? Sounder of pigs. But what I'm filming today is we got a pretty good rain last night, and now I'm in a position where I can irrigate this whole. I used to call it the Fairfield. Maybe I'll still call it the Fairfield. But anyway, a couple weeks ago, or maybe more, I started a contour ditch halfway between one that you can't quite see, just this side of those tires that are stacked, and another one that you can see that sweeps out. It's pretty close right here, but since it gets flatter, it goes out there. And I divided it in half. I pasted off, divided it in half, and started a contour ditch. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to divide it from here. I'm going to divide it again, and then from here up to there, I'll divide it again. So I'll have 4 lands where I had just one before. But what I want to show you is when I'm opening a new ditch like this is too hard to hoe by far, and the pigs haven't rooted it up. What I'm going to do, I've shown this often before, is with a shovel, I'm going to cut in there just at the sod line. Like, this can be accurate within a ½ inch at least. I'll cut there, and I'll cut there, and then I'll take that sod out. And if the water runs into it, I know that I didn't go uphill. If it runs in, and if it doesn't run in, I'll know I went uphill. If it runs in and then runs out on the left side, in this case, I'll know that I went downhill, and I can adjust it as I go. And that's the whole trick to keeping a ditch on a perfect contour. Now I'm on the other end of that brand new contour ditch that I was talking about. And now what I'm doing is I'll make the first cut on the right, and I'll make a cut on the left, and I'll remove what is called a glebe. That's rare. Almost nobody knows that word anymore, but the English word glebe, back from a time when sods were moved individually a lot. Something I should explain too is you can't dig too fast, because if you go faster than your water supply allows, you don't get your reading off the surface of the water. If you've got a high spot in the middle, then you've gone too far. You've got to go back and deal with that, or else wait for the water to come up. And there should be it ought to be as smooth as a mirror, because if there's any kind of ripple, that indicates a hydraulic jump, and it's not level. Maybe my prototype miniature windmill will help you understand where I am actually. Now I've come up, and this is the source of the water for this whole, what used to be a single land. And I've pasted off from where I was just working to where I am, and it was 30 paces. So now I'm going to go down 15 paces, and I'm going to start a ditch all anew. You can see all these ripples and everything. That's because the water's falling. It's not being turned onto a perfect contour. There's the first cut I made at 15, and it'll fill with water gradually, or pretty quick, and the longer, after the second or third cut, it'll fill faster because water's going across from right to left. Now, I cheat a little bit on the high side because I will be moving this miniature prototype water or windmill, but I don't want to do it just yet, and 15 paces would land me sort of right in the middle of it. I'm hoping I can go on the high side of it. Well, I intend to go on the high side of it. See, that's almost full already. There's other things I should probably tell you, but I can't. I'll think of them as I go. Now I've taken maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 more glebes off either end of the ditch. I work on one end and the other when I'm starting a ditch out like this, and you can see the water running in. And I'm curving. You see, I'm curving. I'm not trying to go straight. I'm watching that cut, the downhill cut, That's what I'm watching, and I can keep it, as I said, within about a ½ inch, maybe less. Depends how much vegetation there is here. And I'll keep this up, and then I'm going to go down and open, start a new one in the bottom quarter. I thought of something else I can explain. Now I'm back at that one that I started, the first one I was working on. When you make this cut, and you watch so closely, and then the other one doesn't matter as much, and remove that glebe, you put it on the downhill side of the ditch, because not wherever you feel like it. You always put it on the downhill side, because that's going to be the breast of the ditch. And I also usually lay it not upside down, but with the plants, the grass, and in this case sedge, pointed up, because I want it to grow. I'm not trying to just kill it. Now I'm starting the third ditch, a new contour ditch. This is in the lower part, and here there's less water because each one of those ditches has been spreading the water out. But there's enough that I can get it started, and that's my first glebe that I cut. At 15, it was the same, so I did good work. There, I've widened it by taking about 3 glebes off either side, and it needs to fill to give me a better reading. While I'm here, let me show you. There's the only ditch that was across this field at first. Now I've got about 4 below it because there's plenty of water, but this area here I hadn't. So now there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lands where there was only 1. The sky's getting darker, which is a really good thing. I wouldn't mind more rain. Earlier, this ground, before last night's or yesterday's and last night's rain, this was hard like cement. Well, not quite cement, but you really couldn't have done this, and certainly not with a hoe. Molly just came by for a visit. She's going to have piglets again real soon. She's going to farrow, that's called. They have a language. Little by little, I'm understanding better and better pig language. They have a series of grunts when they go by, up to or by somebody that they like. Another pig, usually, I suppose, but in my case, it's the swineherd. And I haven't yet tried to actually make the sounds, but I heard her doing that before I saw her, and then I looked down. I thought it was probably Sally, but no, it's Molly. So Molly is using the same language of affection. This here's what I've done here. I was reluctant here because I burnt pallets here, and what I do to clean it up after is I run a magnet across it to pick up all the nails. And I'd only started to do it here, but it was wet and it was picking up too much mud and stuff. But I thought I better wait, but I didn't. Once I crossed that, I'll show you what I mean. You can see nails laying there on the ground, and the way to pick them up is a floor magnet that you just drag across it or roll across it, and it picks them right up. And I thought I should do that first. But anyway, you can see from this that what I've done is I've blocked that drain that's so powerful right now, and I've spread it out. And I'm probably going to keep doing it a little bit more because a lot of that water is going off to the right. And so I'll probably go a little further here. There, I think I'm going to stop because of the nail thing. Otherwise I could keep going. Now it gets harder. When the sod is thick, it gets harder to do. That's where the pigs become important. But the source of water is such now, and it'll be that way for a while, that I don't have to worry about. We could have a week with no rain now and I could irrigate. Now I'm powerfully tempted to begin to divide this field into 16ths, because that flow is so strong, and it would be a chance to show you what it would do. And I think I'm going to yield to temptation here, and one more time make a divide. There, now I've divided the field into 16ths. I couldn't resist the temptation, and I could do this happily for the rest of the day. It's not hard work at all. Plus, using a shovel is a different stress on my wrist. I've been doing a lot with a hoe lately. I guess one thing I can think of to tell you is this is called a hatch, which is open. I could close that hatch easily by just taking one of these sods, glebes. Maybe that will stay together, I don't know, might, and just putting it in there, a couple of them, and the hatch is then closed. But I think I want it to keep running pretty strong. And the other thing I think to tell you here is that this flow of water is being supplied. You see that muddy? The muddy water shows it's coming from the left as well as the right. Well, that water is coming all the way from that creek back in there as a one source, and all the way from beyond those buildings to below the pond in Oppenheimer Run. So it's coming from both directions, and I wanted that. It goes under the road. It's all on a perfect contour. All right, well, this certainly is fun, but I've got other things that I can do, so I think I'll let this rest for today.